Right, yeah. What it is. All right. So after spending about over 30 hours of gaming with the Redragon Eisa Pro, I feel like I've gotten a good handle on what this board is really about. It's been front and center in my setup during everything from intense firefights to long session guides, especially when we're playing Dune Awakening. If you guys been popping in the streams, and if you want to pop in the streams, you know exactly where to go. And literally, I use this keyboard in MMOs and simulation titles, right? And more importantly, it's had a lot of runtime in the Dune Awakening episodic series here on the channel. So, and that's particularly a game where input timing and comfort mattered a lot, especially when you're online for a while. You know what I mean? So here's how it's been holding up and why I think this board is kind of worth talking about and giving my additional opinion on it, low key. So out of the box, the Eisa Pro gives a solid first impression. The design is minimalist with just enough edge to give it that gamer quote unquote aesthetic without being like over the top. It doesn't scream for attention with RGB overload, but you can overload it if you want to play around in the software, and you can kind of make it as bright as you want to, as vibrant as you want to, and kind of do your thing. But it doesn't overload you with too much RGB. You know what I'm saying? But it does a very, very well job here, right? But it does give a clean and confident vibe when you're out there playing. And that's something I appreciate, especially for setups that switch between productivity and play. Build wise, the board feels durable yet weighty, right? Not flimsy or cheap. The keycaps are double shot and have a nice texture to them. So not too slick, not too gritty. Typing feels crisp, and there's no annoying rattle in the stabilizers even after extensive and heavy use. The 96% layout is the real MVP here. It keeps things compact, but you don't lose your arrow keys, your number pad, or function row, right? You know, for someone like me who bounces between content creation and gaming and some back-end PC work, having that versatility is clutch, and a very tight package is extremely clutch, right? So like during intense sessions in Dune Awakening, and even I've used this in Insurgency, Ground Branch, and a few other games as well. The keys just felt responsive and pretty snappy, might I add. The hot swap. Oh, I also use this in BattleBit Remastered. I remember using this. I use this board a lot in BattleBit Remastered as well. So, but the hot swappable like red switches are linear and fast and perfect for FPS games where quick reaction time and smooth keystrokes just kind of make a difference. No noticeable lag, no misfires, just solid, consistent performance all around. Now you might be like, wait, cracked. You said 96% keyboard. Are you sure about that? Yeah, it's like 90 to 95% in between there. I'm just using 96% because when I put it side by side with other full size keyboards, it's literally the same. It looks the same. You barely notice small little missing keys here and there that really don't make sense on a keyboard designed for gaming and playing on MMO titles, right? You know what I'm saying? In a sense, but this is a great productive workspace type of keyboard too, if you want to, right? I think there's only a few keys here that's missing, and they're very, very, very unnoticeable because when you're utilizing this in a gaming environment, you're not using those keys. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of what I mean here. Now, I honestly didn't expect I honestly didn't expect to like the Eisa Pro as much for typing and editing as I do, but here I am. You know what I mean? Like, writing this on the same board, yes, I wrote this, writing this on the same board and feeling zero fatigue for longer writing sessions and just editing in general, or typing up emails and doing all the stuff I do behind the scenes to keep the content flowing, as well as dealing with partners and the content overlords. You know what I mean? The linear reds might not be everyone's favorite, but I've had no problem adapting to them at all. The smooth press and just lack of resistance actually helps with fast typing once you get the rhythm. It's also quite enough to not be annoying if you're in a shared space or recording. And that's one thing I really hate about particular keyboards. And that's one thing I do not like about the magnetic keys that's used on the Fizz, is that clicky clacky nonsense. And then when I had my previous Redragon keyboard, it was very clicky clacky. You know what I'm saying? This has definitely been a big improvement and a big upgrade to the overall level of quietness and covertness when playing, right? So I don't have to worry about having to overemphasize the NVIDIA software in order to keep the bullshit out the background. You know what I mean? Keep the clicky clacky out the background. Because literally, the way I play, my actual compressor mic, because I use the compressor mic headset, the whole nine, my actual compressor mic is literally right above my keyboard. So it feels good being able to type, play, and do all that kind of stuff without you guys having to hear the keyboard in the background too much, right? Yeah, you know what I mean? So this alone makes it a good option for streamers or just creators who want a board that doesn't dominate their audio. Now, Redragon software suite isn't groundbreaking, but it gets the job done. I was able to easily customize lighting, rebinding keys, and set macros without much hassle. You're not getting per key RGB with deep layers of customization like on some higher end boards, but honestly, you don't really need it. There's enough flexibility to set the board up your way without wasting an hour driving or diving through bloated software menus and other particular nonsense. You know what I'm saying? Now, no product is perfect, and this is my feedback and things I like to see improved, obviously. And the Eisa Pro isn't really trying to be perfect. But if I had to nitpick, cable routing options for people that like to hardwire. I don't run it hardwired, by the way. I run mine's wireless, and then I charge it at night while I'm sleeping because it does get a lot of use during the day. But cable routing options would have been a nice touch. Having more improved cable routing options is what I'm trying to say here. It does come with a detachable USB cable, but it plugs in on the side. I would like to have seen that like plugged in on the top so that when you run it, underneath your desk or whatever into your PC, you can do so. But I wouldn't advise to run this hardwired if it doesn't need it. Like the response time and all that is great. Wireless, it doesn't really need to be hardwired at all. But rear management would help with a cleaner setup over side management. That's a nitpick, not nothing that really necessarily needs to really change, right? But also some more switch options too, like browns or blues out the gate would be great for folks who prefer a different feedback types. I like the reds. The blues I prefer more, but actually, not really. I like the reds. They're nice. They do really great, and they're very intuitive. The keyboard I really like that I use here, the Behemoth Pro, uses blue keys, and it's not the quietest, but it is the more responsive board that I like to use. So that's keep that in note as well. Also, extra keycaps or a toolkit in the box would round out the package. You get a few, but you don't get a bunch, right? You get a few, you get a little removal key or whatever the case may be, but maybe getting maybe an extra one and maybe an extra 4 or ish keys or so. You know what I'm saying? A little extra stuff. You know what I mean? Or just easy access to key replacements would be ideal. You know what I'm saying? Because the keys you do get in there are unique to a specific location they're supposed to go in there. They're not really replacement keys. You know what I'm saying? But they work. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, I would just like to see that. But regardless, Redragon has replacement keys for you on the website if you want those, so they're there, or a replacement tool if you need that as well, right? But still, these are just wish list items more than real complaints, because honestly, who cares, right? At the end of the day, the keyboard is still fantastic, you know? So after 30 plus hours of real world testing, by the way, which you guys can see in any Dune Awakening live stream that we play, I can confidently say the Redragon Eisa Pro hits that sweet spot between gaming performance and everyday usability. So whether you're dropping into PvP, grinding a survival sim like Dune Awakening, right? Or editing clips for your next upload, this keyboard got you covered, for real. So if you're in the market for a compact mechanical board that just won't break the bank but still delivers where it matters, this one is a sleeper hit. I'm definitely keeping it in the main rotation for now. And if you like to purchase one yourself, you can utilize the links in the description and use the code, because using that code supports not only the channel, but it supports Redragon in the process. And it tells Redragon that I sent you to their website to go pick up this particular board. Other than that, this is kind of one of my favorite gaming boards at the moment, and it's really, in my personal opinion, it's more heavily centered towards MMO and simulation games, as well as just productivity all around, right? This will couple very well with something like the Impact M908, if you have that, the Redragon, and I'm trying to get my hands on one as we speak. But it will do really great with the Impact 908, especially if you're running it in an MMO setting and you don't have to always reach your hand up to hit the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 number rows, right? You can have it right there and it's all accessible. And it's all accessible on your mouse, etc. But that's about it. I don't want to keep you guys any longer. I'm going to leave you there with this particular, talk. That's it. It's not a review, just a discussion about how I feel about it and what I've put, the time I put into it so far. So I like it. If you guys want to see this in action or want to ask me questions about this particular keyboard live, just pop over to any live stream that pops up, especially if we're playing Dune Awakening. Then I'm probably using this keyboard. You can ask me any questions that I have about it there. Peace and blessings.